Hello everyone and welcome back to another Wizard101 video. Today we're talking about tips and tricks for beginners in this game and some even intermediate tips and tricks that some people may not know. These are going to be incredibly useful for you throughout the game. Now first off, let me say something, alright? This video is not going to include specific things that I've made guides on in the last week and a half. If you want to watch any of those, either go to my Wizard101 console edition playlist or just look at my last 10 uploaded videos before this one. That includes things like what's worth buying from the crown shop, a gear guide, where to spend your training points, a deck setup guide. There is a lot of videos I've made in the last week, and those videos are going to be instrumental to this video because they are the basics. That is the sheer minimum you need to know. This is filling in the gaps that might not have been included in those videos. So if you have specific questions about specific things, go look first to see if I've made a video on it, then come back here and ask me some other things. Now, before I get into this, one thing I also want to include, if you have any other tips or tricks for newer players or other players that I didn't include in this video, leave them in the comments, because obviously there's going to be a lot of things that many people can think about that I wouldn't, or just are things that are tips that they've picked up over the years, and you never know, you might learn something too. Even if you're a player that's been playing for 15 years, you might learn something. I learn something every once in a while playing this game. Yeah, so without further ado, let's get into the video. Now, I'm going to start off this video by talking about something that I think is probably the most useful thing you can know in this game if you're new to it and for the early game. Now, if you come to the commons right here and walk into this tour guide area, this is available for both console and PC. If you go to Morello Winds Spar here, visit Castle, and then go to top rated, and now if you scroll through these until you find the Arcanum apartment and go to the Arcanum apartment, now what you're going to want to do is exit the Arcanum apartment by going back. Now you are in the Arcanum. This is a late game area that you're not going to unlock until level 106, 108, and you are able to enter this at any level as long as you can do castle tours, which I think you can unlock as soon as you exit Merlambro's office at level 2. I know you can get this very early in the game. Now if you come to the librarian here, Librarian Fitzhume, and go to the Monstrous TC or the Gargantuan TC, you can see that you can buy these for a low amount of gold. It is 250 for Monstrous and 500 for Gargantuan. What these allow you to do is you can add these to your treasure card deck, and from them you boost the damage of spells. So for example, I know for a fact that Banshee does about 280 to 330, right? If you add the Monstrous TC to it, that's going to jump all the way up to 350 to 4 whatever. I can't do math, but you get the gist of it. If you have these, you are going to absolutely breeze through the early game because you're going to be doing on average much more damage than you should. So especially very early game, say you're death and you're using a ghoul, you're going to be doing basically double the damage you're supposed to in Croc, which means you're going to be one-shotting most mob enemies that you aren't meant to be one-shotting. I think this is by far the most useful tip you can know. Now, the main issue with it is you can see they cost 250 a piece. If you sell basically everything you get from Wizard City, you can get into the multiple thousand range by the end of Wizard City, and definitely by Croc, you're getting up into the thousands of range. If you just spend these monsters and use them on opportune times, if you use them against specific bosses, you are going to find the game much easier than you would otherwise. Now, again, you can also buy Gargantuan and it'll do even more, but it obviously costs double. So weigh your options, figure out what you want to do. I think that this tip is super useful. And beyond that, let's get into the next tip, which goes hand in hand with this, is to use treasure cards, because I think that it's very underrated, treasure cards in this game. Personally, as a kid, I almost never used treasure cards, but if you have specific treasure cards that you can use, you are going to find the game much easier. Now, what I mean by this is, for example, a lot of schools in the very early game don't get prisms up until level 12 or that range. I know my Death Wizard didn't get prism until level 12, and I had to fight quite a few death enemies up until that point. Well, if you go to the bazaar or you go to the Wizard City Librarian, I believe, you can buy prism TCs, and with those, you can put them in your treasure card deck and use prism at a earlier level than you should. And that goes for every other treasure card in the game. If you add them to your deck, which you come to the deck section and add treasure cards. You can add them to your deck here, and by adding them, when you discard a card, you can press the draw button in the middle and draw a treasure card. Use that treasure card. It's going to come in handy more often than you think. You can do certain things like feint stacking or blade stacking way earlier if you have a different blade card or if you have a different feint card, treasure card, which is going to be very, very useful to you. Now for the next section, let's get into the settings, and two settings that I think are very important to turn on. First off, if you come to gameplay options 4, you can turn on backpack item lock. Now again, this is available for both console and PC. Everything I'm saying here goes for console as well. If you then come to your backpack, you can see I have a lot of items in here. Let's just look at the Deadly August Sage deck here, which you can see if I press the lock button, or if I was on console, I'd press the A or X button, and then a lock option will come up right under equip, I believe. If you lock it, what this does is it prevents you from feeding it to your pet, selling it, or trashing it. Now the reason why that's important, you might not see the value of this at first, but you're going to be selling a lot of items in this game. And if it's an item that you don't want to sell, you don't want to risk accidentally selling it. I can't tell you the amount of times I've heard people tell stories like they've spent money on crowns in this game and bought from packs, and packs will give you a lot of one-day mounts, and they go to trash the one-day mounts because they don't want them, and they accidentally trash a permanent mount. And that's obviously devastating because, you know, you don't want to lose it. I believe they added a recycling bin to PC. I don't think it's there on console yet, so this goes doubly for console. You can't get anything back from the recycling bin right now, but if you feed to your pet or you sell it in the bazaar, you're not getting that item back. Now another tip that has to do with settings is one that I just think can be useful, and that is to go into gameplay options 3 and turn on Remember Realm. The reason why I think this is useful is if you're questing with a group of people or like a friend, whatever, you didn't somehow friend them for some reason, you don't risk the potential of losing them, because remembering realm will prevent you from changing realms like just on your own by pressing like go to commons or whatever. This isn't going to come up as much, but I feel like it's worth at least pointing out. Now going hand in hand with item locking, let's talk about selling items and getting rid of things. Now one thing I think is super important to know, and this goes for new players, is that there are some items you should never sell in this game. Now it's going to look tempting because they might be worth a lot of money, but you shouldn't sell them because you're going to need them at some point later. So for example, skeleton keys, you can get a guaranteed 2,500 gold if you feed it to your pet, but you shouldn't, because gold skeleton keys, you are going to need them at some point in the game to farm spell element bosses, or you're going to want them at some point to do that. And if you get rid of them, obviously it's a limited supply of gold skeleton keys. You're not going to get them back as easily. Now, similarly, pet snacks, I personally recommend not selling pet snacks unless they are rank 5 and under. And the reason for that is that rank 6 and above, if you're just feeding to your pets and you want to just get rid of them, they give enough pet XP that they're worth not selling. But like if you have 24 medium fish like I do, you can sell those. And the final thing is reagents. Look me in the eyes right now. Never sell reagents. I don't care if it's worth 630 gold in the bazaar a piece. I don't care if, you know, you think that I'm never going to need this reagent. Never sell reagents. And the reason why is that if you ever do crafting in this game, you're going to need reagents. And as a kid, I saw like, it gave me like 1,000 gold per sunstone, right? And I just sold all of them as a kid to get that gold. And, you know, as a kid, I was like, haha, funny money number go up. And then as an adult, I'm like, wait a second, I really need that sunstone. Now, if you don't sell any of them, it leads you to build a very large collection of reagents, and that can be very, very useful if you ever need to do crafting and something just comes up. Don't look at the fact I have refined scrap iron there. I was this very stupid kid and I did buy reagents for crowns. Don't look at me. I'm shameful of it. It's fine. So don't sell reagents. Now, speaking of crafting, I am accidentally making this video flow very good from topic to topic, but I digress. Let's talk about gear vaults, jewel vaults, and seed vaults. Now, what these do is these allow you to store items in them. You can see if I turn left over here, I have a gear vault right here, which if I open up my place object thing, interact with it, and then press open gear vault and go into the vault, you can see I have a gear vault that has a lot of items in it. And what this allows me to do is it frees up space from my bank and shared bank, because before, back in the day, you would just put any item that you didn't want but might be useful later in your bank or shared bank. But obviously that's going to fill up very fast, and you can go to your gear vault and place the items in it and prevent it from filling up. Same with your jewel vault. Jewel vaults can be very useful for keeping, like, you know, I have a bunch of pierced jewels right here, which might come in handy in the future. There's also a seed vault, which you can put all of your seeds in that you don't want to plant or whatever that you do want to keep. Now, how do you get these? Well, if you come to Mushu right here, right in the very common area, we have Toshio, the adept crafter right here. Now, obviously you need to be adept crafting to actually unlock this. So you need to get up to Mushu level crafting, which pretty simple. Just go through the crafting quest, and as you go, you'll eventually get here. Well, if you come to Toshio, you can see here, there is the gear vault. Now, this recipe is fairly simple. Most of these things are just commonly picked up items. The only ones that aren't are reshuffle and fairy TCs, which I believe you can get at basically any treasure card vendor like post Mushu, I think. If not, then just look at each treasure card vendor, like look at the Archivist and Celestia, or look at Librarian Fitzhume. You'll probably find some of these cards there, maybe not fairy, but probably reshuffle. The reinforced crate you can just buy from the Wizard City furniture shop, but otherwise all the rest of these reagents are commonly picked up things. Similar to that is the jewel vault, and finally the seed vault. Now, once you craft them, obviously, again, it lets you free up very valuable inventory space that you wouldn't otherwise be able to free up. These are going to be super useful, especially late game. So you should do crafting and get to at least this point for those items. All right, I do have a few more tips for you guys coming up, starting off with gold farming. Now, I did accidentally leave this out of my is Wintertusk and Grizzleheim as a whole worth doing. I did make a mistake in that regard. Some people left that in the comments. I did just kind of forget. Well, if you come to Wintertusk and you come to Vesterland and you go through the main quest, eventually you'll get up to the point where you have to fight Halfang in this cave. Now, Halfang is an incredibly easy fight. The boss has like 1700 health, I think. He's a storm boss. The side minion has like 1300. It's very, very simple and easy to do. So if you come into the cave, make sure you have your attack deck equipped like I do, and then you use a nice Wobbegong Frenzy. Actually, that was the old health of them. He only has 1500 and the other one has 1000 now. I was thinking before the 20% health reduction update. It's a lot simpler if you go first, but the point is, from this battle, he drops a significant amount of items that sell for a lot of gold in the bazaar. The best one is there is an amulet that sells for like 7,000 to 9,000, I believe, in the bazaar, which is really, really good if you get that drop. Otherwise, each of the robes sell for like 4,000 a piece. The boots sell for like 3,000. Athames, similar. It's going to be the best way to probably farm gold in this game very fast. So you can see there, I got a level 56 robe. If I go sell that in the bazaar, I'm going to get an easy 4,000, and that only took like 30 seconds, right? All right, now with that gold, if you want to know what to spend it on, let's talk about one of the most important early game items to get in the game, and that is the Jewel of the Feint. Now, the Jewel of the Feint will sometimes be sold in the bazaar. You can see it's not here right now, but it is a level 50 item, and what the Jewel of the Feint allows you to do is it gives you another feint, as implied by the name. Now, the reason why this is so important is that it allows you to stack feints. Now, if you didn't know, if you use different versions of the same card, they will stack. So for example, Potent Trap is different than the regular one, so you can use Potent and regular, and if you use an item card, that's another one. What this allows you to do is it allows you to stack feints. Now, it's the best way to do a very large amount of damage in this game. There are like 6 technically different item card versions of the feint that you can use to just do a massive amount of damage. And with the Jewel of the Feint, this will allow you to very early in the game feint stack quite easily, which is going to be very helpful in Arc 2. There are fishing ways to get it from fishing chests. I don't know if that's the best way to get it, because you do need to get up to like Celestia level fishing to do it. A guy in the Tower of the Elephant, which I don't recommend. Glauco, which is a boss in Celestia. Kogasha, who's also from the Tower of the Elephant. Nuncio, who is another boss in Celestia and the Crustacean Empire. And Ptolemos, which is one of the final bosses in the Trial of the Spheres. I would recommend probably going for Nuncio, because he's part of the main quest, and he's in the Crustacean Empire and is a very easy 3,000 health fire boss. I would say if you can get this item, and you can pretty frequently buy it in the bazaar, get it and wear it because it is going to carry you through Arc 2, and it's going to be the best amulet you can get all the way up to like once you get the level 99 to 100 amulets that give multiple stats like pierce and crit and whatnot. Okay, the very final section of this video is something I want to include just for the sake of efficiency, and it is a tip and trick that a lot of people will significantly underrate, and that is the fact that movement in this game is valuable. Learning how to use teleporters and marks is going to speed up questing so much. If you look at any of my past live streams, you'll notice I'm able to beat worlds like Wizard City and Croc and whatnot in like an hour or 2 hours, which is quite on the fast side generally. The reason for that is that I tend to make a very large point of using marks to speed up my quests. The way to do this on console is to press the right bumper, which I think is R1. I think 1 is the bumpers on PlayStation. If you press that and then press the mark location button, you will leave a mark, and when you then go into the same menu and press the go to mark location button, it will teleport you back to the mark. Now on top of that, there are these teleporters which you can use if you look at the map to get to different parts of the street. Wizard City, this isn't like a huge thing, but when you get to the later worlds where the streets are very long, these teleporters are going to speed up questing massively. I mean, very specifically, Mushu and Dragonspire, if you make good use of mark locations and teleporters, it can probably save you literally an hour of time in each world. And I'm not kidding about that. Like, it sounds like an exaggeration, but I mean, I think you are going to be saving an hour of your time with teleporters. Same with Celestia. Like, the Crustacean Empire is probably one of the largest area-wise streets in this game. If you leave opportune marks at like a quest giver, or if you use the teleporters, it's going to speed up that street significantly compared to what it could be if you're walking everywhere. Movement is severely underrated in this game, and leaving marks can be super useful. Another addition to this, there's actually two that I can think of, is first off, if you go to the social tab, you can teleport to any of the people on this list. Now, you can only teleport to people who mark themselves as friendly. It allows you to teleport to them in this menu, but you can see, like, if you just find someone, like, say I really want to go to the Science Center right now, I can go to Saffron River here, press on them, and press go to player. Obviously, sometimes they'll be in a battle, which is unfortunate, but then you just help them out of the battle and finish it up. But otherwise, it can be very useful to getting into places that are super far away. Like, if you're in Wizard City and if you want to go to the Haunted Cave, instead of walking halfway across Wizard City, you can go to the Friendly Players tab, find someone in the Haunted Cave, and go to them. Now, on top of that, one thing I also like doing is if you go to your house and you don't have a house equipped, if you go to your dorm room, you can then walk out of your dorm room and it will go to Wizard City. So if you have a quest objective that's in Wizard City, which a lot of worlds tend to have you go back to Wizard City for some reason or another, that is a fast way to get here. I believe you can also go into the crown shop and then go to, yes, this, and then press go to Aegon, and that will also teleport you. It's basically the exact same amount of time. So either way, if you want to get to Ravenwood, you can do that. It's the fastest way to get there. So I think that's pretty much it for this video. That's all of the tips and tricks I can think of off the top of my head. I think that there's probably going to be much more that I missed. So please look through my comments and read through all of them, see if there's anything helpful that some people might have left. And if you are someone who has something that you thought of that I didn't, make sure to leave that in the comments below to help out your fellow players, help out your fellow new players, or even some older players that might not know what you know. Because everyone is different. Everyone has different Wizard 101 experiences, and everyone has different tips and tricks to speed up questing in ways you may not expect. So if you found this helpful, if you enjoyed, make sure to drop a like, hit the sub button. Thank you all for the support recently. It's been very amazing, and I love all of you in a non-parasocial way. Don't take that parasocially. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Have a fantastic day.